Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from Inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Stamp Around the World video hop. Our theme this month is men in our lives. Not always the easiest people to make handmade cards for, but we're all going to give it a go this time around. So hopefully you'll have some ideas when it comes to your turn to make something. So this is a video hop. All the links to all the participants are going to be listed in the description. Please do click more and wherever it is, depending on which device you're watching on, to see that link list, and do hop through and see what everyone else has made. Likes, subscribes and comments are always really good to grow our YouTube channels and be able to get that spread of inspiration out to other people. So with all that out of the way, we're going to make a version of this card today. I'm going to make a square card. How often do I not make a standard size card? But I felt like this layout worked well to be put on a little square card. This is actually 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, but you know, you could have done it 4 by 4. And then you could get some off-the-shelf envelopes for that. So that's what I went with, just simply because that's the halfway, and I just cut it square basically to make this. Okay, so I'm obviously in the UK, and those of you who know UK accents will know that I'm from the Midlands, from Birmingham, and our Selfridges store has these lovely discs on it which are not dissimilar to this card front. So there you go, that's what we've done today. Made other cards like it, but I'm putting a masculine twist on it today. And to get that effect, I'm using this die out of the lovely arrangement set. I absolutely love this. I love that one and that one. And then you've got the cute leaves. It's just a really great set. And then you've got your florals, which everyone loves, but you've also got some nice sentiments. So I've just gone with the love you on here rather than pulling out another set. Mix and match your sentiments. You put on it what you want. So that's what we're doing. But my discovery was that the circles on this line up with this little tiny die in this set. Okay, so that's how big it is. It's just a little die that cuts out 2 circles, and it's perfect to cut those out. These are just over 1/2 inch. I think they're about 5/8 of an inch. So yeah, just short of 5/8 of an inch. So I'm using die cuts, but there's nothing to stop you punching out little circles from whatever you've got in your stash and sort of lining them up. And then I've used that background just to help me keep everything nice and lined up. But I guess there's other ways you could do that manually without needing that background die as well. Okay, so that's what we're using. What we've got, this is an online exclusive set or bundle, and this one's in the current mini catalogue. If you can hear like a flappy dappy noise, it's because I've got the window open. The UK is having unprecedented hot weather. It's absolutely roasting. So the window is open, so you also might hear a bit of background noise from the street and everything, but hopefully you forgive me for that. So first thing to show you is how do you make this die become a 6 by 6 layout. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of partial die cutting to do that. Okay, so I'm going to bring over my cutting plates, my very well used cutting plates. Look at that, you can't see through that at all. That's the top one, so I keep my bottom one is the one that I cut into, and I keep flipping it and turning it, and it's not too wibbly wobbly. Look at that. And I haven't put this in hot water or any of those magic tricks. All I've done is just used one portion of it and flipped it and turned it, you know, to try and use different portions of it. Okay, so what we're going to do is partial die cutting those. So there's a couple of ways to do this. Okay, we can pop the die on there as normal and our top plate on as normal, Hopefully that's not glaring too much. Okay, and we can roll it through and stop about there, just as it starts to disappear under the little ledge there, and roll it back. Okay, or you can position your plate so that it won't cut over the top. Now I find this a little bit awkward and cumbersome. I'd rather roll it through and stop just before it gets to that, because you don't want this bottom cut edge. I suppose you could and glue them together, but you won't get as nice a finish, especially if you wanted it to be the actual focal point of your topper and you weren't covering it over with the little dots. Okay, so I'm doing this method. I'm going to pop it in position. Now ideally you'd run that through at an angle, but because we're doing this partial thing, I'm going to keep it straight. It's not too bad in that it's not a completely flat edge, but you might need to just get it over. And like I say, I'll roll it through until it just about disappears, before it makes that, you know, that final clunk, you know what I mean, to know it's gone through, and pull it back again. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we can create this. So I'm just going to pop that in and roll it through, and I'm going to turn that handle until the die just about disappears and rolls back again. So if I turn that over now, oh, a few little bits have fallen out. Let's just, I'm collecting all of these. These are going to end up in something at some point, I'm sure. Okay, so now we've got 3 of those rows, but this bit hasn't cut at all. Okay, so we want to peel off that die now, nice and steady. Okay, get rid of all our little bits and pieces. Let's just clean that off. That's the only downside, you have to clean out your die in between. I suppose you could roll it through. You just you risk not getting a clean cut if you leave bits of paper in your die. And then we're going to reposition this where we want it. So we want 2 rows, and I'm going to press in, and that has locked back into place, so it's covering those last 2. Okay, and now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to turn it round. I'm going to come down this way and not quite here, so I don't chop off my last 2 rows. Okay, so you go one way and then you go the other. Okay, and you can do this with loads of different kinds of dies. I do it sometimes to shorten or lengthen like sentiment banners, you know, in what's my favourite stamp set called? Not stamp set, die set. Stylish Shapes that I use all the time. The little banners in there, if it's a tad too long, you can chop a bit off. So there we go. I stopped it here. It hasn't cut this bottom line, so I've now got a continuous 6x6 piece. I'll clean that out after, to use as my template for my my dots that I'm going to put on. Okay, like I say, those bits you either chuck or keep or whatever you want to do with them. So that's our 6x6 thing. And just to save some time, here's one I prepared earlier. And what I've already done is I've popped mini dimensionals on there. I save this for another card. Ready to pop our dots onto. So that's my tip. Pop your mini dimensionals on, ready for your dots. And instead of the grey sequence, I've used a sequence of 5 on this one, so it repeated and you ended up with this nice pattern. Basic grey, smoky slate, white willow and grey granite, and repeat that pattern round, the pattern of 5. Okay, so there's more white on there than there is any other colour. Okay, I'm doing a different pattern, and I thought we'd go all patriotic because, you know, there's this little thing called the World Cup going on at the moment. So I figured we'd go with some red, white and blue for the Come On England. Sorry, those of you who aren't in England. Yeah, not that I don't follow the football. I haven't watched a single second of the football at all. I did watch Wimbledon though, that was very exciting. I loved both of those finals. So this time we're going to end up with a pattern of 6. So I've got cherry cobbler, what's that, blueberry bushel, white willow, then we're going to go real red, so it's sort of light and dark, night of navy, and back to white. So now I've got an even colour pattern. Now if I go left to right, I'm going to end up with rows, aren't I? Cherry cup, yeah, or stripes I should say. So just to mix it up, I'm going to go backwards along the row, so we end up with that alternate sort of thing. Okay, now if you if your brain can cope with it, you can oh, we're going to end up with a red white, oh yeah, okay, that's all right. We're going to end up with a funny pattern. Okay, if your brain will cope with it, you can kind of predict the pattern after a bit, yeah. Right, kind of depends on how hot you are and whether you've got the thinking power to do that. But I think what we're going to end up doing is a blue one and a red and white one, or a couple of red and white ones, which is fine. So hope that makes sense. So this will be cobbler, so it's going to alternate like that, in it. Okay, and then this one's going to alternate this way. So depending on how many colours you've got, you'll end up with a different thing. So what I would recommend is not doing a pattern that is the same dimensions as your thingy. So I've got a repeat pattern of 6. I probably should have done a repeat pattern of 5 or 4, and then you would end up with a more interesting pattern. Not that this isn't interesting, it's just a little less interesting than I was hoping for. Oh dear. Anyway, you get the gist. But if you do the prep with your dimensionals and got all these cut out, so obviously you cut out 2 at a time, and again, if you're really super clever, you can do some maths and work out how many of each you need, or you just cut out a load and hope you got enough, which is generally what I do, and build up your pattern. Okay, and then you will have to work out which way up we want it. Okay, so hopefully that was clear as mud what we're doing here. And like I say, I just wanted to try and do a little bit of the prep, because it is just sticking circles down. And you know, this is totally my style of crafting, you know, a little bit of less is more and simple stuff. Okay, that's kind of cute, isn't it? So do we go up and down, or do we go left and right? I'll see with the sentiment first. Right, so I already got my little card cut, so I've still got two of those plus a bit of scrap out of a sheet of A4. Started off like that, scored it down the middle like I would do normally, and then just chopped it square. Now I've got a white and a, what's that called, Night of Navy, little die cut there, so that's from that Lovely Arrangements die set. Now I'm going to take that away, because often it's not clear, it's not easy to visualize something when it's not on the color you are intending to use. Now I think that looks weird, because that looks like a H. I think if I spin it round though and make it more central, that's going to make that blue. So I don't know whether I just want to go with white and just break up. Oh, See, this is where it would be really good if I had somebody to ask and go, what do you think? I don't know whether I want it that way, because this is running that way. Whether that, but I want it off centre, you see. Does that look okay? Obviously not the blue, because that's going to look too samey. On this one I opted to bring in the black to give it some pop, and then put the heat embossed sentiment. It started off white with black and I didn't like it and I covered it up. I think it might have to be that, and I don't think I want red. Do I want red? If I want red I need to go and cut something. I could cut something, because everyone's going to want to know what it looks like, aren't they? Scrap bin. I think if it is red, it'll be real red, not cherry cobbler. Keep my scraps in little photo boxes. For the A4 cardstock, two-tone cardstock, which only comes in 12 by 12. I keep the scraps in the straw in like the same pocket that they're in. See, I'm not sure I like that either. I think there's too much. But I don't want it to look like an H, because it's going to look like an H that way. Right, white it is, or I could bring in black, but then I'd have to die cut something again. Right, let's just go with the black, and then you guys can decide amongst yourselves whether that was the right choice or not. Okay, so we'll just stick this down. You don't have to put glue on every bit of this, you just need enough to secure it. Okay, and because it's a square card, you could in theory, see I made that that way, but in theory it could stand that way as well. So obviously that takes a little bit of time to dry. What? No, oh no, it's just black with sentiment. Let's just not go there with the debate about whether this should be red or blue. Okay, so let's just pop that in place. Just nice firm pressure. Lift that off, and okay, and then because we've got all the dimension from the dots, this is just going on nice and flat. Okay, so I'll just pop a little squiggle of glue on the back of that, and have that sitting there like so. So now, because I didn't put any bling on this one, but you totally could. Let me just hold that down just for a second. That's my top tip. If you use like a block or something, it'll keep everything nice and flat. Okay, and I can stick I'll pop that to one side to glue to adhere properly under a E block or an F block or something. Okay, so you could bling this up if you wanted to, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to keep it just like that. And of course the design is and the colour combination that you want to use, well, there's like 50 colours to choose from, so you can do it really monochromatic, the deep bright colours. I mean, that doesn't have to be for a boy, it could be for anybody. I know someone recently who had a because their birthday was the 4th of July, they had an American themed party, so that could do, couldn't it? So yeah, mix and match your colours, pick your favourites, and go from there. make it as bright or as funky as you like. Right, I'm going to stop wittering now. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of the hop. If you're in the UK, you might want something nice and cool. Sit back, relax, and cool down. Yeah, hello to the rest of the world. As I say, the links are in the description. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you with the next one. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.